Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Dark Screen Society. As always, we have Gigi. Say hello.
Hi.
Chuck.
What's going on, people?
Good old Brian.
Howdy. Maybe not old, but okay.
And me, of course. This is the best podcast on planet Earth, and we're here to talk about Neon's new film, Presence. So if you haven't heard about this one, it just released on Friday, January 24th. And it basically follows a family that is convinced that they're not alone after moving into this new house in the suburbs. Did you guys see its Rotten Tomato score, by the way?
Yeah, 87.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good.
I don't really understand Rotten Tomato scores, if I'm honest.
Honestly, same.
It climbed significantly after being released because it was a little bit lower whenever they were doing pre-screenings and things, and over the last couple of days it rose significantly.
Oh, interesting. Did not know that.
It's because of all of us.
Someone got paid.
All of TikTok.
If I'm not mistaken, sorry, I think that
go
Rotten
ahead.
Tomato scores, because I'm pretty sure Sean Chandler, shout out Sean Chandler.
Shout out.
I'm pretty sure he described it as like it's just if the critics like they either like do like okay, they tomato it or they like splat it. I don't know what the hell it's called. Yeah.
It's either fresh or rotten.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fresh. There you go.
Splat.
They splat or tomato it. So fresh or rotten, and then it's just an average of that. So it's like
So, like, it could be a lot of people thought it was okay, but they thumbs upped it or green tomatoed it.
yeah,
whatever you
green
call it.
tomato splatted it.
So, like, it might not think it's 100%, but it still could end up with a 100% Rotten Tomato score, which is
Yes.
Correct.
And that's the thing that's like pretty wild because like when you get like those like indie films and stuff like that, where they like people, it's like they are like, Rotten Tomato, like it's like, okay, well, if the three of them were like, or I think you need at least like 5 or like 10, you need a certain amount of like actual critics in order to get a tomato score. So it's like, okay, well, if like 15 of them were like, yeah, it's good, it's okay movie, then it's like 100%. And so that's
Right.
like,
Thanks
I don't
for
know.
joining our Rotten Tomatoes discussion podcast.
Right.
Yeah, and the end.
I was trying to see how much the movie made this weekend because it was made for a budget of $2 million, and I'm pretty sure it probably made that and some more.
Yeah, I think it was over
Oh,
3
yeah.
million.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. And I mean,
Yeah.
the director's Steven Soderbergh, which if you don't know, he's done like the Ocean movies, Contagion, Unsane, of course, Magic Mike. Shout out to all the ladies.
Dude,
And
Magic Mike is like that's such a curveball in his like filmography. I'm like, what?
it is such a curveball because you have like all these like heist movies and Contagion, and then there's just Magic Mike.
Yeah.
Unsane is pretty out there as well. I don't know if he shot it on an iPhone, but I'm sure it was
He did.
recorded. It
He
was a
did.
phone, wasn't it? Yeah. So
Mhm.
like he takes chances. So which is
He has two
you like to see.
movies he actually did on an iPhone. I forget what the name of the other one was, but he also did Traffic.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Oh, I never saw Traffic. Traffic. Looking for my chapstick. Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, listen, we got to talk about Presence. I do have to point out though, because like obviously when you have a director like Steven Soderbergh, you have to have an amazing writer like David Kopp, who, if you don't know, he did Jurassic Park, Panic Room, Secret Window, Spider-Man, and Sort of Echoes. So you already know what you're getting with this like director and writer combo. But we need to get into this and figure out what everybody thought of this movie, because personally, and I'm going to go first and take the mantle here, I think it's my favorite Neon film, and I absolutely loved it. And it's just such a unique take on like a haunted house ghost story.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Gigi. Sorry.
No, I just was gonna say I 1,000% agree. I really, really enjoyed it. Like just like my overall impression. I honestly I know a lot of people went into it and they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I literally wasn't expecting anything. I didn't watch the trailer to it, and I just knew the plot was it being in the POV of a ghost haunting a house. And so I didn't think anything of it. And I actually didn't even really think it was going to be that scary because I don't know why like the plot of a POV of a ghost doesn't even sound that scary to me. So I wasn't really expecting it to be scary. I was just more expecting it to be like supernatural. But yeah, I thought it was just so incredibly unique, and I love that Steven Soderbergh is very much like that. Like he loves to take chances on these things like Unsane with the iPhone, or how this is like I think he did such a great job with the POV in this. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but I think that was for the best.
I agree. And Brian, we got to hear your thoughts because you
Yeah, we
haven't
don't even
told us yet.
know.
Yeah, I just got out of it half an hour ago. I thought it was really good, like very good, in fact. I do have some discussion points I want to bring up later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I watched it, I was like, this, I need to discuss this with people. So I'm glad we're doing this.
me too. Chuck?
I think that I loved it, but like I can't get it out of my like I'm at a loss for words at the moment because I just now that we're talking about it, all these scenarios are going through my head again. But almost a whole entire 12, 20 hours or whatever removed from seeing it. I think that I need to see it again before I make this statement, but I think it could arguably be one of the best ghost movies ever made. Like
I agree.
it affected me on such a deep level. And I'm really happy that when I left the theater and I talked to you guys like in the text chat and everything and talked to Seth, like I'm really happy that I got it. Like, and I didn't get everything, but the gist of exactly what it was telling, like I got it. So it was very effective for me, and I was very moved by it. It's magnificent.
It's such a great movie. And did you guys have any favorite performances, by the way? Like, I thought everybody did such a fantastic job, but I'm gonna start with you first this time, Gigi.
I loved, Chris Sullivan. So the dad, he was actually the standout performance for me. I loved everybody in there. The only person that I didn't think was like I think he was just the weaker of them was like the friend, the blonde kid. Um I think he was the weakest, performer, like, I think there were some moments that were just but I actually don't even think it was weak performances, I think it was just dialogue, and it's not that David Cope is like wrote it poorly, he wrote it as if a teen was talking, and hearing teens sometimes talk, I'm like, "Stop talking." So, like, I think that's what it was, but, I thought that Chris Sullivan, the dad, he was the best to me, he was fantastic.
Ooh, he was Taserface in Guardians of the Galaxy. I knew
Oh,
I
yeah.
recognized him.
Oh, I
Uh,
remember him from This Is Us. Yeah,
yeah,
This Is Us.
that's what I know from as
Yeah.
well. But like, I didn't get a chance to check who he was, but and I agree. He was like, it's nice to see like a dad or a guy in a film like this that actually believes. She's like, "There's a ghost," and he's like, "I believe you."
Yeah.
So like, so often it would be like, "Let's get you help," or all this kind of stuff, and it's like, "No, I like, I don't understand it, but I believe it." So
Yeah.
it's good.
Chuck?
I thought everybody was did their job. Like there's nothing that felt like weak to it to me. Um, but even like I guess if we're talking just actors, like I thought they were all great. But I think the most important thing about the film that makes the film work and what worked for me is Soderbergh did the cinematography himself,
Mhm.
and the way that the entity moves, which is the main actor of the movie, even though you can't see it, but the way that it moves and the way that you feel it and the way that it like encompasses you as the viewer to sit in like a ghost's shoes per se was what sold it. So like I don't necessarily think that anybody that it focused on it mattered that much. Like it did, but it didn't. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because like you
Yeah.
could say that the lady that came on her lunch break to give them advice, like her husband wasn't too great. He was just like an afterthought type kind of character. But from the perspective of the entity, it kind of didn't matter because he sold what he was there for. So if that makes sense to me, like
Yeah.
I didn't really critique them because I was too busy being the ghost, if that's makes
N
sense.
no, totally, and I agree with you because actually I was reading some reviews and somebody was like, "Oh, um" a lot of people were like, "Oh, it felt like very unnatural dialogue," and I was like, "I don't know, I really did not feel that
I
way
didn't see that
because
at all.
Same.
I didn't feel that way because I really felt like, okay, if you were like standing there like in somebody's home like just watching these things go on like her talking or them talking to the people the ghost people that came in I'm like yeah that's how I feel like this awkward like this weird awkward unsettling feeling would be and like this weird awkward dialogue would be or even sometimes how like the daughter would talk to the dad like there were moments where I was like oh that felt kind of stiff and then I was like wait no that's probably like what I would say to my dad too like I
Right.
so
There was
I
only
think
like
that
one scene where I was like, That seems like a strange thing to say to your mum, or a story to tell your mum."
yeah
But we'll get into that obviously in the
Mhm.
spoiler section. But like,
yeah
it didn't pull me out of the movie at all or anything.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So I don't know. Once I like really sat with that, I was like, no, I actually don't think so. I think that it really felt like natural.
Yeah, the
I,
more and more that I think about it,
Hmm.
the more and more natural it is.
Yeah.
Because once you let it digest to what actually happened and what you actually viewed, then you go back, like I did anyway. I went back and revisited all these conversations that these people had. And once I knew the true nature of the characters having the conversations, like there's no way it was wooden. It was exactly what a empathetic dad would say to their kid, or a
Yeah.
narcissistic mother would say to their kids, because she didn't even really know that they existed because she was so wrapped up in her, in herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought all the performances were great. I do want to say the blonde friend Ryan, played by Wes Mulholland. I
Ryan, there
actually
you go.
thought he was the standout, and because he had so much range, but also Lucy Liu. Like this was the side of Lucy Liu I'd
Yeah.
never seen before. I feel like, and I loved this like new side of her, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, I did think that she did really really good. I think it was almost hard to like her
Yeah,
because I hated her as a mom. Like
exactly.
I w
Absolutely.
I hate when that happens, but I think that's
Mhm.
such a good that's like almost like I always think of Jacob Elordi because he
Hmm.
was so god awful of a character in, Euphoria. I, like, hated him as an actor. I was like, "I
Right.
don't like him," until I saw something that I liked him in, and I was like, "Oh, okay, you just played your character so well that I just didn't like you as a person." And
Right.
I really feel like that way about Lucy Liu, where I was like, "You played this god awful mom so well that, like, I almost didn't like you because of this."
Right. I think it's a
100%.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to her
Oh,
actual
yeah.
acting skills, because she had to have like a subtlety to that performance to not overshadow what else was going on. So she like walked a fine line through the entire movie. And her being like, I don't know, I don't think she's the most well known. I think Chris Sullivan's pretty well known, but Lucy Liu is a household name.
Hmm.
Everybody knows who
Yeah.
she is. And there was not one second that it felt like overacted, or she was, overshadowing or stealing the show or anything. She kind of was just a backdrop to the story, which was exactly what she was supposed to do. I thought it was fantastic how she did it.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys knew this, and I thought it was pretty cool. And also, Kalina Liang, the sister, I thought was fantastic,
Oh,
especially because the
yeah.
point of view is like on her for most of the movie. But the brother, that was his first role. This was his first movie ever.
Oh, wow. That's actually really impressive.
He
Yeah,
was great. Yeah.
he was great. And Kalina Liang, I think this was only like her second or third role. So there's a lot of new talent in this movie. And I thought for that being the case, I thought they did just a standout job.
Yeah, no, I thought they did so good. The part that really like stuck out to me with him, which this isn't really spoilers, but the argument that he gets in with his sister at the dinner table,
Hmm.
like it felt so real, like a sibling argument.
Yeah.
And like that's actually really surprising. I didn't know that this was his like real like first big role. So because I thought he did such a good job.
It's pretty crazy. Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes here, the spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, stop now and come back after you've seen it. Or if you just want to get it spoiled for you, we're going to dive right in.
Okay, so getting into our spoilers, I had a theory in the first act of the movie, or like the first half of the movie. Now, we obviously know that this isn't a point of view of a ghost, and we're getting all these little. The one thing that I do love how David Cope wrote this is I love movies that drop little hints, like little tiny hints where you're like, okay, you're trying to piece it all together. Like, who is this ghost? Why are they there? And what is their purpose? Did you guys have a theory on who it was? Because I had 2 different theories, because in the first act, which, for those that have watched it, we know the beginning of the movie starts off with, Chloe wait, yeah,
Yeah,
that's her
Chloe's her
name.
name.
Chloe,
Chloe's
okay.
the daughter, Rebecca's the mom.
Yeah, so Chloe, she's obviously very sad, and we get little droppings that somebody died, and we don't know who died, and so we're like, okay, so it's gotta be somebody that's close to her and nobody else in the family because she's the only one affected. And then we obviously get revealed that it was her best friend that died of some type of like drug overdose.
Mhm.
So then of course, I feel like everybody thought it was the friend. Did you
Mhm.
guys like initially think that it was her friend Nadia that was like
I
haunting
felt like that
her?
was too obvious.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Like that was a like they want you to think it's that, but it's not going to be that. So
Yes.
I
I
honestly
can see
thought,
why.
yeah, I honestly thought that it was like my initial thoughts, because like I was dissecting from first
Yeah,
frame. Like my brain just started
totally.
going there, which is why I loved it so much. But I thought because when there's the mirror, and they described how old the mirror was in the house when they were walking through to buy the house, and there was like these little hints to things that are old. So I
Yeah.
had like this notion that maybe it was going to be like her grandmother, which would have been her
Okay.
mom's mother. And the reason that I say that is because the husband and the mother are so detached that it would make sense that he didn't like his mother-in-law, so he wasn't in tune to that with the mother, but with the daughter. So I
Yeah.
had like this weird feeling that it was maybe like a relative like that, but obviously that wasn't it.
See,
Okay.
for me, I like initially just thought it was just a haunted house and it was just going to be some like, evil ghost presence of some sort because like when you find out about the daughter's friend, I was like, well, how does that make sense? Like how is the daughter going to be in the house with them? Like did she die in the house? Is that
Mhm.
like they moved in after she passed away? So I was
Totally.
like trying to figure out ways around that and I was like I feel like maybe it's just a haunted house and that's all we're going to get. So
That's
that
Yes.
very,
was my
very
thinking.
fair. Yes.
Because then once what were your initial thoughts? Because I feel like the main pivot in the movie was when the ghost people came in. So, the dad calls in somebody, they finally believe Chloe and they're like, okay, a presence is in the house. And then the ghost people come in and she's dropping even more hints and lore about how this ghost is like they don't know why they're here. They're both past, present, future, all these things. Because in that moment, that's when I was like, oh, it's Chloe. I was like, I think that Chloe's going to die, which is why she's in the house. And that's why she's in her room. The ghost obviously has this safe space in her room and loves
Mhm.
to watch her. So I thought it was Chloe. Did anything shift for you guys once those ghost people came in?
That's very fair.
That is very fair. I didn't even
Yeah.
think
Like I
about
didn't
it
I
that
didn't
way.
even think, yeah, me neither. No, like, and this is what's so good about it
Yeah.
is because people keep the conversation that has been sparked by this film, and like I just heard your opinion on that. It's like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And it's so crazy because it is the lady coming in on her lunch break,
Yeah.
because she's a medium that
Yeah.
just left the grocery store to come on her lunch break. I'm like, okay, that's the most pivotal part of the whole fucking
It
movie.
really is, 'cause
It
that
is it
shifts the
is
whole thing.
it's the most intricate, pivotal part of the whole movie because they literally tell you everything in that scene, but you
Yes.
have no idea when they're telling it to you. But when you see it, you're like, "Oh shit," because she explained it to them. So
Yeah.
no, I never even thought that it was Chloe. I was still kind of lost. I was lost at that point, which I think is intentional to the writing. You were supposed to be lost because when she came in, you didn't know if she was a hack, if she was the real deal.
Totally, yeah.
Dude ran to the dad and asked him for some loot, and he didn't just ask for it. He hustled him out of that money by saying, well, she is here on her lunch break, and
Yeah.
she's missing work or whatever. He grabs his wallet. So that like intentionally took away a little bit of her credibility, which I thought was brilliant because I thought she was just kind of some fucking huckster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So well done.
It
Did
was.
you did you think oh, sorry, go ahead, Seth.
I would say I didn't. I feel like honestly, I didn't know who it was until the very end.
Really? Okay. Brian, did you
No,
have a clue?
No, I wasn't trying to figure out who it was, to be honest. I was just kinda, like, along for the ride. I was like, whoever it turns out, maybe we won't even learn who it is. That'll be
Yeah,
the end of the story. It'll
totally.
just be like, it was just a ghost and it was saved the
I
day. I don't know, but then obviously we do find out. So I was just like, I don't know who it is. I've not figured out. I'm not trying to figure out who it is. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I
Here's
think I had seen a couple of reviews beforehand, and I don't know if it was Chuck's, but they were like every scene means something. So
Yes.
I was like, shit, okay, I don't want to look away in case there's something really obvious. But then I was like, I feel like I'm not focusing on the movie because I'm focusing so much on the movie. So
sorry.
Totally.
sorry, you weren't the only
No.
one. There was a couple of reviews
No,
said the same
I
thing.
just really like I've seen so many reviews yesterday. And ones that like legitimately like tried to like not spoil it, but spoil it. Like they even put spoilers on their review. They
it's
just
hard.
spoiled, well, no, but they just spoiled it in the wrong way because they didn't
Yep.
even get it. It was just like
Hmm.
what they not, and that's no slight on them, but I think people walked in because when you look at the poster, I watched a trailer before we're recording today, and it says it is the scariest ghost movie. It literally says that in the trailer, scariest ghost movie you ever see. You will be frightened to your core. Like it has these powerful statements, and I'm like, okay, like I guess that sells, but that's not what you're giving people.
Do we have
No.
It
who
was
do we
horrible
think?
marketing.
Yeah,
which
Oh, it
is
was
Neon. I
so
think Neon's
sad.
bad.
going to get a boy cried wolf situation soon because that's Longlegs and this. And there's going
Yeah.
to be a point where people are like, you know what, Neon, I'm not going to trust the scary or terrifying because you've said that before, and it wasn't. But they're really good movies, so I don't know why they're marketing. Like people are going to go and watch Neon. Like it's frustrating. They're like, we have to try and trick people into coming and think it's a scary movie. Then they'll watch it. We'll say we liked it, and then everyone will be like, that was shit. It's not scary. And it's like, we never said it was. Neon said it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I almost feel like, as I thought about this, I'm like, wow, look, Neon is a major, and shout out to Neon. They're a major player in the horror genre. Very
Absolutely
Oh,
pushing
fast.
it.
No, I mean, they're pushing shit to the limit. They're taking on experimental stuff. Like, I love what they're doing. I thought about this, and I think that they intentionally did that.
Hmm.
I think they want people to expect this horrific thing and then hit them with something that's so completely different, because I think it resonates more when you don't expect it that much because you expected something else. And I think that's a very risky move to take, but it seems like they're $1 million company. Why are they going to why are they going to like, why are they going to mismarket something? Like, people that sell shit don't mismarket it. So it feels intentional to me for some reason. If that makes sense. I don't know.
It does.
It does. I just think it might backfire if because
Oh,
no, I
I've already
agree.
seen it in your
Mhm.
comments that people are like, "This
yeah.
is."
People are
I
fucking
walked out
pissed.
of it. I walked out after 40 minutes. Not scary.
Boring, not scary.
Exactly. It's
Nothing
like
happened. Yeah.
so.
Didn't
I knew
jump
going
once.
into it that it wasn't going to be a scary movie because, like Gigi, I couldn't figure out how it was going to be scary.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Although it had a couple of nice tense moments, it wasn't scary. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Like I don't go into a movie that's classed as horror expecting to be scared, even
Yeah.
when it's ghosts. Like I know my name says differently, but uh, yeah, so I wasn't disappointed. I can understand being disappointed though if you were like, "This is the scariest thing you've seen in a long time,"
Mhm.
and it's just it's not, but it's very good. So they could just say, "Look, there's a beautiful story. Go and
Or
watch
even
it."
just something like the most like haunting because
Yeah,
like I think that's really and like not just because it's a ghost, but it sits with you and like and it festers and like I yeah, they definitely should have not marketed it as terrifying because nothing about that.
It's terrifying.
It was not. It's just there's a ghost in it. That's like the only like horror
Right.
adjacent thing about it. But
It's disturbing, I would say, if anything.
yeah, I don't even know if it's disturbing.
It's not like
it,
chilling, haunting,
Yeah.
words like, because it is, I mean, from the very first frame of the realtor lady in the house, and then she answers the door, and then it does that thing in
Yes.
the
Oh,
lady's face. So you're like, oh, okay, there's this presence. Is it malevolent, or is it? You don't know at that point. You just know, oh, okay, this thing can do some shit, and that to me is chilling. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
to.
yeah.
Like, I came home last night all night long, and I'm like, what the fuck is watching me in my house? You know, I mean, like, what,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
like
seriously.
it made me feel that way. Like, is there something watching me right now? And does it love my room? Then you get to the sale of the house, and then the painters.
Yeah.
And then the Mexican fellow was like, no, fuck that. I ain't painting in that room. And he left her
Yeah.
to do it himself. So then you're like,
Mhm.
oh shit, there's really something serious in this house. And
Yes.
like, and that lead up was like, that's haunting. That's chilling. You know, it's suspenseful. But like, was it scary?
No.
No, because you didn't know if you should be scared or not, because you didn't know yet. You were alluded to what it was, but you never really knew until the end.
Yeah.
Honestly, after a while, I was like, I felt like this was Casper the Friendly Ghost. I was like, I'm rooting for this guy. I'm screaming at the screen for him.
No, seriously, like, there was, like, moments that were just, like and it's I love movies that it's not until the very end are you
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, okay, that's why this happened, and this happened, and this happened," but it's so true what Brian said, like and Chuck, like, every single scene means something, and I think I, like, locked into that so early because every single, like, scene, I was like, "Ooh," and I love that. I love that it cut. We don't get a lot of movies that are like that, where it's just like, boom, cut, and so I was like, "Okay, a new little mystery is happening in this scene. What is the little nugget that they're gonna give us in this scene?" So, okay, now let's get into the big ginormous reveal, which
Yes.
is who the ghost is. When was the moment that you guys realized that it was the brother.
Not until he went out the window. I was like, oh, okay. I
I
get it.
I knew, it was the brother when it was trying to wake him up.
Okay,
When it was
yeah.
trying to wake him up and then he was running upstairs, I was like, why can't the ghost do anything? And then I'll bring this up in a little bit here, but there's a lot of Easter eggs and points that like once that happens, you realize it's been him the whole time. And there's one specific scene that like
Oh
basically
yeah.
goes full circle from the beginning into the end. But yeah, that ending with him running up the stairs, I was like, oh, it's for sure him.
Yeah, that's when I knew too, when he was because I was like, "Okay, well, it's not Chloe
Yep.
because, like, the brother is obviously, like, he's downstairs." Like, when it was running downstairs and waking him up, I was like,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, obviously the brother's gonna wake up and then something's gonna happen." And then the second that it hit me, I was like, "Oh my god, so he's gonna die." I was like, "It's him," and that hit me so much
So hard.
harder. Yeah. Chuck, when did you know?
I when it went down to wake him up, right, and it started shaking him because like how that whole entire scene unfolded, which I think can't really talk about that without a testament to Blondie. What's his name?
Wes
Ryan?
Mulholland, Ryan. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
friend. The friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously they allude to him not being a good person until you like find out, but you don't even really know that because like whenever he was with her the very first time, and it's she has this love interest, he's the brother's friend from he's the popular dude in high school, and she brings this gentleman to her house. But I found it very odd, and it immediately resonated with me whenever they were kissing and he told her things that no teenage kid is ever going to say to a girl,
No.
because
Yeah.
teenage dudes want to fuck, like they're
Yeah.
trying to get to it, get down with it. And
Get
he
their
was
nut.
like, this is, he said, this is about you. You're in control. You will control this. And I was like, oh, that really triggered something in my head. So flash forward to going down and what he does upstairs and then waking up the brother. I thought that maybe it was him, but I wasn't sure. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
as convinced as you guys. So like when they actually revealed him to be it, like it still hit me like a fucking ton of bricks because I still wasn't sure. Like obviously I knew when they went out the fucking window that it's him, but like I still was kind of like convoluted, you know what I mean? Like, but the and I'm not going to talk about it now, but that ending scene, I do when we get there, I do want to talk about that because I think that there's so much merit to how that played out. Um, yeah, they didn't really like they gave it to you, but they didn't give it to you, and that's what I love about it because like you guys up there felt okay. That's where I really started, and I kind of
Mhm.
started thinking that, but I still wasn't like they made you question what you thought, which is
Yeah.
so good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I wouldn't have been
Sorry to
surprised,
ramble.
like, even if at the very end and it like they're leaving the house and it panned and he was getting in the car, I would have been like, oh, so it wasn't him. And
Yeah.
I still would have been like, okay, so we're never going to find out who it was. But then obviously we do. But I would
I
have
would have
been,
been fine with that.
yeah. I
No,
was like, oh, look,
same.
it's a happy ending. And I was like, oh, well, it's still kind of a happy ending. But
Yeah, no, I would have thought the same thing, like, if it was like, "Oh, he did survive the fall through the window," I would've been
Mhm.
like, "Okay," like, the only reason why I knew he wasn't gonna survive the fall through the window is from what the lady said,
Right
the ghost
before,
lady, yeah,
yeah.
was
which
when
he
she was
came
like,
back the
"In the
second time.
window." Yeah,
Mhm.
um,
Was there a moment in this, like, after knowing what happens, is there a moment in the movie that you go back to in your mind that, basically, like, is the pivotal moment that it was him?
So now I think, Seth, you've spoken to people about this, right? Because I know Sydney's given. So I've not in that chat whether you discussed it. So can I try and guess what it is, scene
Sure.
wise?
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so I think it's now the awkward scene where they prank. So the story is they prank a girl, event like they trick her into thinking this guy's in love with her or going to meet up with her. So she sends a nude or similar to a nude, and then it all ends up badly for her. But then
Mhm.
just as like you see the nude, sorry, and it's like, who did this? Who did this? Like the ghost runs upstairs and fucks up the brother's room. So I think he was like, shit, this is really embarrassing. I don't want to
Mhm,
keep talking about this now. So I'm going to get their attention away from that because I'm embarrassed by my actions here.
mhm.
Is that the right scene or is that not the right scene?
That isn't the right scene, but that is one of them that is very pivotal.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a ton of them that,
Yeah.
like, well, it's like, since we know it's him, there's so many of them. It's like the orange juice with the drug in it, and he knocks it over. The one that I think is the most, like, where I'm like, Oh, the moment for me that I go back to where I'm like, "Duh, why did you think it was Chloe? Of course it was her fucking brother," was when they were doing it on the bed and the ghost turns the other way in the closet to not look at them. That was when that was the first scene I went back to, and I was like, "Why didn't you think it was the brother?"
To
Like
Yeah,
me,
I didn't even.
I don't know why he hung around. Like, surely could he not leave? I know, like when doors close, you can't go through, but I don't know if the door was open. Like,
Yeah, but
why
I
did he go in
think
the
that
closet?
I think that that was like tied into his powerlessness of his guilt of how he treated his sister.
Yeah.
Because even though he couldn't continue to watch what was going on there, he felt too afraid to leave because of what could have happened to her.
Yeah.
So if
I
That's
he wasn't,
exactly
also
what I think.
you
yeah, if
could
he
also probably
wasn't in that room,
argue
she wasn't safe anymore. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
because he also, I think at this point, he still didn't know what his like reason for being
Purpose.
there was. So he maybe thought, okay, I need to be watching it all times
Yes.
just in case this is the moment I need to do my ghostly shit. So
Yeah. My
I guess
ghostly shit.
Ghostly shit.
you get around it that way, I suppose. So
Yeah, because
what was the moment, Seth? Because
yeah, what
I
was
think
your moment?
Yeah, so the moment that I always go back to is the beginning of the movie where the ghost, or the presence, picks up the books off her bed and puts
Yeah.
it on the desk. And then you can kind of go back to the point where it knocks over the glass that Tyler drugged with the
right. I
orange
think
juice.
Ryan?
So,
Tyler's our brother.
or
Yeah, Tyler.
Ryan, yeah, Ryan. So you have the presence who's able to do all of these things, but at the end of the movie, it can't physically do anything anymore because that's the point where the brother is supposed to die. That's when it kind of all culminates, where he's going out the window, um, and it kind of becomes one with the presence and the brother. So, like, if you notice, it's able to do all those things in the beginning, but by the end, it's powerless because that's it. That's it for the presence, and it's found its purpose.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a good point.
I have a question though about because I have a couple of questions about the movie, but that was one of them. What do you think the purpose was of him picking up the books? Like, what was the actual significance of doing that?
Just to probably prove that he was there and that he cared, and like maybe it was kind of more of a thing where it was like um he was trying to be like nicer to his sister and like clean up a
Mhm.
mess or something like that because he wasn't really involved with her that much and you don't really notice that, and it kind of was more of like a let me help clean up your room, let me like make it look all tidy and nice.
Because
Yeah, because
if we're to believe, sorry, Gigi, if we
no.
believe the psychic medium, whatever she is, he still didn't know that was his sister. Because he's like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Exactly, dog. Dog gets it. It's like, so he could have just been like, I'm just a helpful ghost. Like I can, like I want you to know I'm here as well, but I'll do
Yeah,
this little thing. So don't know why I can just pick up a pencil and write a note if it could pick shit up.
Yeah.
I
But
don't think
like
it could.
Well, see that was the only
we
thing
could
that
pick up a book. Why could it
yeah,
not pick
that's
up a
the only
book?
thing I kind of wish they would have left out was the book part because I'm like, I feel like that was the moment where it was like, well, where are these lines going to blur?
Hmm.
Like, why couldn't it touch them? Why couldn't it, like, you know what I mean? If it could
Well,
pick
he
up
kind
a,
of does because the only bit I would think if I was in a situation of this family, like the room shaking bit is quite scary and all the stuff falling, but I could like say, oh, that's a reason for that is something else. But like when it just blows in our face when it gets close
yeah,
to, I was like, nope. If that happened to
yeah.
me, I'd be like, I'm moving
I'm
out.
out.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, dude,
Yeah,
that scene, I was like, that was a scene where I was like, oh, that was fucking creepy. Like, if that happened to me in real life, I'd be like, I'm leaving.
yeah.
The only thing through listening to all this, like now I'm fucked again because now I have another question. And this is the only thing that I think I understand that I don't understand. There was a scene. So for my interpretation, it was the brother the entire time. The books that he lifted up off the bed was to let her know that she had security and something existed in
Hmm.
there because he tidied them up. Like he
Yep,
didn't throw them away or anything. He
Yeah,
put them in a very nice stack on her desk, which was like a courtesy to I'm going to help take care of you because
exactly.
you left this mess. So like that's what I gathered from that. But so you're dealing with Lucy Liu, who's the mother. So from the first scene when then this is how I feel. I don't know. I want to know. I want to know what you guys think because it's killing me. So she's a narcissist. She's very self-centered. She doesn't pay any attention to her kids. You know that from the sale of the house because she made the decision to purchase the house without any input from them whatsoever. And she told the realtor lady how the fuck to do her job and structure the deal. She took complete control of that. She said, this is mine. I want it. We're having it. The dad succumbed to that and said, fuck it, buy the house. You know what I mean? So then there was a scene where he told the son, someday there's a man inside you somewhere. I know that you're going to be that. You know what I mean? So that
love
time,
that line, by the way. I was so
Yeah.
Oh,
good.
oh, so good. But
so good.
it shows what an empath, that shows why the father believed the daughter, because she's an empath that can see these things, and he's an empath that could feel that she was telling him the truth. But he also seen it in his son, who he really was like as a human being. Now, what doesn't make sense to me, but it does, and I'll explain if you want me to.
Please.
The father takes a phone call and he goes out on the back porch with a friend of his. And when he talks to him on the phone, he alludes to this law situation of if a spouse does something, how is the other spouse affected, alluding to some sort of crime, which it was at that point that I started to wonder, looking back, did the mother do something to the kid or to the or some, I wasn't sure. Like, why would he be? They didn't
I think
show her
it's.
do anything.
I feel like Gigi wants to jump in, so because I
Yeah,
just
go
watched.
ahead.
Obviously, this was fresh. So Gigi, if you want to give your interpretation.
No, so that's so funny that you say that, Chuck, because immediately after I got out, I started a group chat with Seth and Sydney, and I said, "What the fuck was the thing that the mom did?" I was like, "That's the only part of the movie I truly don't think that they fully explained,"
They don't.
because then the dad is talking about it, and it's obviously alluding to the mom, because then the mom is also acting weird, like when she's like randomly deleting all these like
And when
emails.
she has the laptop and she moves to the bed, so because he tried to peep the computer, and
Yes,
she's
and
it's
I thought
right
she
at
was
the
having an
wall.
affair
Yeah,
at that point, and she was deleting
yeah,
emails that
right.
were.
Or the
You know,
conversation on the like in the kitchen where she's like touching the son, and it's like very weird that like
yeah,
well, she
relationship
was.
dynamic.
I think that was a nice touch showing that she drinks because obviously she has the scotch there, and then
yeah,
she's always like carries a wine about. So I think that was like hinting at she's clearly going through something, to which you could shitty excuse. You could probably give away her being a bad parent because she's done something that could eventually put her in jail. The husband knows about it. And then, because even when they're going for their weekend away, he's like, "Will that guy be there? Because we can speak to him and see if we can get out of this situation." So,
Right.
and he was like, "Well, I could just leave, and you tough luck. You have to figure it out yourself."
yeah.
So she's done something, but it's never really. They do. She does say something at the very beginning when she's on the balcony, and I thought she was just talking about work. So I have no idea what this
Yeah, I
language
didn't really
is.
tune in.
So I don't know if she
Right.
says there what the problem was. That's what she's done, but it was clearly something major that could end her up in jail.
So what
Yeah.
was the result from the chat?
So,
When you
Seth,
said that,
to say what Seth did, because then this makes more sense to me where I was like, okay, if there is not an explanation of what she did, like an actual wrap up, this I can accept.
So personally, I think it was more of like something that she was doing um to like better the son's like career or his like chances. It seemed like whatever it was illegal, that's why the relationship was so tight, because she did something illegal to help him get where he is in life, essentially.
So
That was one of the things.
Let's.
how I kind of interpret it from what you said, Seth, was that when the mom is drunk and she's talking to Tyler and she's like telling him and she's like, it's okay if you make mistakes as long as it was worth it and it was for something, it's for something that was worth it for somebody that you love. And that was kind of my thing, like where Chuck, then you were saying like she bought the house without consulting anybody. So I feel like she was doing shady shit to have the finances and the resources that they had so that she didn't just have their kids be successful because she didn't give a shit about Chloe. It was so that Tyler could be successful, that they could have a house in the nice district so that he could go to the school and do all the after school
oh yeah,
things.
And
And that's kind of what I thought was I like, okay, so she's doing shady illegal shit so that they can have the life that they live, but so that Tyler can have the life that he lives.
And more on, I do remember the other thing I said in our group chat. So the other thing too is I think the point of that whole thing with the mother too is kind of to show how alone the sister was as well.
Yeah.
oh
Um,
yeah.
and like that the mother would do something so illegal to benefit the brother and the son versus showing like what she would do for the daughter, which is why the father was always hanging around the daughter and felt so much more guilt and towards her.
Mhm.
So I think that was another reason too. It was just to show like what ends this mother would go for
Yeah.
another kid, which is really
I don't
fucked up.
Right, and I don't know if you really want to go there, but it seems like we're going there anyway, which I'm loving the course that this is taking. So, does that phone call from the father on the back porch to whoever he was talking to, which I'm assuming was some kind of legal aid or an attorney or a paralawyer or
Yeah.
something, because
Yeah.
he was worried,
Yeah.
like he was taking that call and he needed to find out. So then, like you guys are saying, they alluded to her. She was so concerned with social status and where this kid went to school. Does that tie in? Was the prank prior to that, that's tied in that he did something horrific with these prank things, and that's why they wanted to get out of where they were to move into this new place for like a fresh start?
I think it's I don't
Good
think so
point.
because it's not him that does the prank, it's someone else, and he just joins in the group with it.
Right.
So I do find it weird still that he told his mum about the prank. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, there's still that weird little
I mean,
thing
there's a
they
lot
have.
of people that have their lives ruined over guilty by association.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't get me wrong. Like up until the reveal, I thought the brother was a complete arsehole, and I was like, okay, at least he did
Right.
one good thing in his
Yeah.
life.
Right. But that was
Uh,
kind of like saying that he just joined the prank instead of doing the prank. It was just saying like you sort of cannot discern if he's good or bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know
yeah.
what I mean? So like that kind of made sense. But that was the only thing about the movie was that phone call that has constantly been in my head. And I guess ultimately it doesn't matter, but I want to know because it does matter. They wouldn't, it was a long scene. It was like 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like of
Yeah.
that dude on the
No,
phone. Like I
and
want to
there was
fucking know, you know?
that's what I was saying, Chuck, is that there were so many scenes that were so prevalent to just that. Like with the dad coming
Yes.
in and her deleting the emails, it was like it wasn't like it was just a one-off. It was like, no, there were like long drawn out scenes that had to do with this. And like that's kind of just what I've convinced myself is what it is. Because
Mhm.
again, like tying back into what you're saying, Brian and Seth, this like weird relationship that the mom and the son have. And I think that just goes to show the unhealthy dynamic of like a narcissistic parent that has like this I forget what it's called, but it's like where you like treat your child like a partner, like where
Mhm.
it's like it's like you tell them things that they shouldn't hear as a child, and so it's like, so that's why I think Tyler felt so comfortable talking to his mom about this prank that was like weird and gross and like
yeah.
like awful, because he was like, well, this is the dynamic that my mom has. She tells me everything. She's very like almost like borderline sexual with me because she treats me like a partner, not a son. So
So
that's
she
kind of what
knows.
I took away.
She has to like, or he knows what that legal issue is, and that's why it's like, I don't know. He has to. There's for sure another meaning that we can like decipher. I feel like with a few more watches, but like
Yeah.
everything in this movie seems so relevant. Like every little detail,
Yes.
which I wanted to bring up before we continue because I was talking to Monse CV Noah. If you don't know or aren't following her,
Canela.
Canela. I thought it was CV Noah. That's how she pronounced it on
Did
her
she?
stream. Yeah, on the stream the other day.
Oh, I wonder
She,
if it's
she pronounces it like that so people know how to type it.
okay. That
Oh,
makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
okay, well, I'm an idiot, but,
No,
No,
you're
you're
um,
not.
not. No, you're
okay.
not at all.
So, um, we were texting and she was telling me how one of her friends brought up, so in the daughter's bedroom, did any of you notice the painting above her bed?
The flower?
So there is a painting of a swan, um, basically over a person, which is based on the poem of Leda and Zeus, or Leda and the Swan, which is,
Oh.
I got
um,
fucking chills.
yeah, which is so the clearest thesis of Leda and the Swan is that a single moment can reverberate through in the entirety of history. And it's basically
Oh,
Zeus
wow.
Zeus turns into a swan and basically impregnated Leda, like basically I'm trying to think of the word here. Like tricked her. And
Okay.
so that painting in this poem, if you like notice that in the beginning, has so much to say about the movie because
Yeah.
it basically gives up the plot in a way. And I had to
Yeah.
bring that up because I thought it was such a really cool, unique thing that not a lot of people picked up on.
No, I didn't even freaking no. That's a really funny because I even pointed
What
out
the
the painting
fuck?
in the movie. Like I leaned over to Zach and I was like, "Ooh, I love this stained glass over the bed that she has." Like a
Mhm.
painting over a window is like not a normal decor,
No,
but
it's
I didn't
not.
even look at what the painting was. I just remember thinking, "I really like that over a
Yep,
window."
Well, and the
That's
window was the
crazy.
ultimate demise.
yep.
Yeah.
And that was the trick, and that's, like, why a
What the
single moment can reverberate through the entirety of history.
Which goes into the fucking lady on her lunch break because she says that the presence can live in the past, the future, and the current moment because it's
Yeah.
basically stuck in an eternal purgatory. That's why you get all of his PTSD and trauma of Presence, which is the brother, that's why they have the flashback scene of him flipping out on the sister because like that was instant regret and the shit with the mother and like, listen,
I
listen.
know.
I
I
have a
had to save that for the
question.
pod. I had to save that for the pod. I was
No,
like,
that's
we
a
need to
great
bring it up.
I didn't even think
What
about
the
that.
fuck?
Am I gonna go see this movie again today?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go again too.
I do have a question though. What do you guys interpret the significance of whenever the ghost would like come whenever it would do this like thing like this like vroom, vroom,
Yeah.
what was that significance to you?
To me, it was it trying to like communicate with the family and trying to like uh get its word out because it was kind of I mean, you don't really notice it till towards the end of the movie, I feel like, till it kind of like or when it gets angry. And I feel like it was its way of trying to communicate to the family that like I am the brother, like I want to help, like I fucked up, like I know I fucked up. Let me save the day. Which also goes back to like what the father saying, there's good in you, I know it.
Yeah, but see what the only reason that that confuses me is because he did it while Chloe was asleep. Like he was like watching Chloe, which I have to say as like a little side point, one of the things that I absolutely love, me and Zach were talking about this. One of our favorite things in movies is when they hold a scene when
Hmm.
it's like
Mhm.
a 5 minute long scene and like we're just like we're watching and there's dead space. There's nothing happening. Like, but we hear her in the shower, we hear Ryan going down the stairs and we're just holding. And I love shit like that. It just really sits with you. But back to what I was
So
saying, Chloe was asleep though. And he like the ghost like walks up to her and it does this little like boom, boom. And I was
whoa,
like, what is that?
what if it's its heartbeat and it's like its emotion?
I
Well, see,
think it is maybe emotion. I don't know about heartbeat, but
okay.
I think like 'cause it probably doesn't understand the feeling
Mhm.
because it still
Yeah.
doesn't know why it's there. But
Yeah.
it links up with her because it has some kind of connection
What's
that
the
it's not aware of. So it's like it sees her, and then like when he gets really angry because like Ryan's being a creep, then
Yeah.
I think it happens again. Then so it's like he can't probably control the emotion, but it's
Yeah.
just like he's like fuck, and then it's like starts wobbling.
Okay, that yeah, that you know what? That is a good because I kind of thought that when Chloe was asleep, I thought like, oh, is it crying? But that makes sense that maybe it's just like this excess of emotion that it starts to like fucking shift time and space,
Hmm.
like literally.
It could also just be trying to test out like what its limits are, because obviously
Yeah.
the ultimate thing is he has to wake up
Hmm.
Tyler through doing that.
Yeah.
So maybe
right?
he's just like he's just
I
trying to like fuck. I
but
can actually do this.
but then it like it's like angry and frantic and running up and down the stairs and trying to figure out what to do. So
Yeah.
like that it has to be an emotion or like some type of like humanity that's still left in him, which is why Tyler is still alive.
Yeah.
But he was the ghost, the entity was very human. In
Yep.
fact, Gigi,
Oh
like
yeah.
the holy fuck, that shot. Listen, now look, it's all coming together. That shot, one lone still shot, the shower, all that. Just think about it right now. What's the most prominent thing in that shot?
With the window in the
The
mirror.
oh
It's the fucking painting.
Oh, it is.
They
It's
were
yeah.
it's right
telling you
over the bed.
they were telling you that she's okay. They intentionally wanted you to resonate staring at that fucking room to say, look, here, it's all right here. Like
Yeah.
here is this thing, even though I had no idea about I'd never heard of that poem in my fucking life. So how am I supposed to know?
Yeah.
But now that he said it, it makes sense because why would you be in there? It's to let you know
Mhm.
that she's going to be okay because this thing is there to like save her.
Yeah.
Now that it all unravels in my head.
The scene that really, like the scene that really hit me after figuring out that it was the brother, like, the scene that, like, when I was thinking back on the whole movie that made me so fucking sad was I don't even remember what happened. Like, I can't remember if it was, like, that they were arguing at the no, it wasn't at the dinner table. Something was happening where it got upset and it ran to Chloe's it was the second time that it had, like, its emotion and it went, like, up the stairs, and it has like the score, which was like so beautiful how they were able
Hmm.
to like exude this emotion with just like
Mhm.
pacing and score. And it was like, whoom, and it just like stomps it. And then you're wondering, like, where's it going to go? Is it going to go in Tyler's room? Is it going to go in the parents' room? And then it goes in Chloe's room and it just sits in the closet. And I was like, ooh. And like knowing at like after the fact that him, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so depressing." Like, he was, like, going back to his little, like, safe space, but I can't remember the scene that happened prior to that. Do you guys remember?
Don't.
I
Mm,
can't
I
remember the
literally
scene.
just watched it and I can't think.
I know what you're talking about too.
Yes,
Like, I
yes.
know exactly the moment because it was, like, angry and it went upstairs and just, like, hid in the closet.
Yes, and you're wondering, like, well, is it gonna go fuck up Tyler's room? Is it gonna go fuck up the parents' room? And then yeah, I
The
cannot
only
remember what it
time I can
was.
think it might be is when they're arguing at the dinner table and they're falling out. So I don't know if he was like on because obviously he knew that she was right. So I don't know if he was like, "Fuck, this is so
Y
annoying that."
yeah.
Was it the moment where the father and mother were arguing with each other on how to parent? The
Maybe it was because you know what, Seth? I'm thinking about it, and I'm pretty sure it happened in the middle of the day,
Yeah, and they were in the
and
kitchen together.
and yeah, and they were like and I think it was, like, him getting upset where he's like, "They're not they're not understanding what's happening, they're not listening, they're
Yes,
not, like, being" like and I think it also just goes back and it reflects this feeling of, like, how he was so in the point of view that he gets to see, he's like, "Wow, my mom is a fucking piece of shit, and he like, she really does only care about me, and Chloe is just like this loser over here."
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody cares about her, and I think that was a moment where he was just like, "Dude," like, like, where he actually had, like, empathy towards his sister.
which is, like, it makes that ending so much more beautiful because he, like, sacrifices himself
Yeah.
and, like, to save his sister, and it's like he becomes whole, and I think that's just, like, it's so fucking beautiful. Like, this movie's so good.
No, I love it, and you guys already know my favorite dynamic of any type of movies is when it's like a brother and sister, so once that happened, I was like, "Cool, gonna go KMS." No, I'm just kidding.
You're right. Seriously, at the end of the movie, I was overcome with emotion. Like, I literally
Yeah.
sat there with tears in my eyes. I was like, "That was fucking beautiful." Like,
Yeah. I
Chuck has something else to say. I feel like he's
Oh, you're
oh, you're
muted,
on
Chuck.
mute, Chuck.
My kid came in. No, I'm digesting
Yeah.
because apparently now that we discussed all this, I'll add this to it. I don't know if this makes sense or not, but it's worth saying. So back to the painters.
Mhm.
They bought the
Yes.
house. The guys in there painting. The one painter don't want to go in that room. That's Chloe's room, and he knew something was there. So the whole entire time, him being the ghost, this had already played out in some realm that this all had happened. You know what I mean? Like all the way up till he died. So we're just getting the flashback of the whole entire event happening.
Yeah, I think with that, at least what my takeaway was that the like, other people felt this presence there, that, like, his presence was so strong
Yeah.
that he felt
No,
it.
no, no. I totally get that. Like that makes perfectly good sense to me. But
Yeah.
like, but as the perspective of the ghost, okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
they're letting you know he's there. We know he's there. We know, well, okay, we know something's there. There's this
Yes.
entity that gravitates to this room. So if
Yes.
it is the brother,
Got
which
it.
we all
Yeah.
believe, and the brother's dead, the whole entire fucking movie, and these are flashbacks, that's how they tangibly gave the viewer the time, space, past, present
Yes.
thing to allow you to feel like the emotions of this thing, which makes me, again, love it even more.
Oh,
I
1,000%.
I think the ghost is from the future. I think it can be all of those things, but I don't think any of those events happen. Like, I think we're witnessing all of that in real time, and that ghost is from the future, or the presence is the future version of what's gonna happen.
Yeah, well,
That's a little much for me.
I
Because
just
how
think
could the presence be there if
I
he
think
wasn't dead
both
already?
both are correct. If I'm totally
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
they did the woman
that's
gave it to
fair.
her. She says it's everywhere all at once, and
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
like okay, so it could be a flashback, it could be playing it in real time, but the ghost is from the future. Like the ghost doesn't like the rules of what we believe to be real. The ghost
Yes.
doesn't abide by these rules, so it can be wherever,
1,000%.
whenever.
That's
So
kind of
I
what
don't think
I
anybody's wrong. I just think
yeah.
you probably like both your interpretations could be right.
Yeah.
I think so
There's so
too.
yeah, it's so
No,
cool.
I think it's literally just like it's happening everywhere all at once. And but I love that David Cope was experimenting with this idea of because a lot of people do feel this way about supernatural beings, which I 1,000% believe in like supernatural elements and stuff, but also that it doesn't it it all bleeds together. Like
Mhm.
it's neither here nor there. It's just everywhere all at once. And so it's like and like also just like different like past lives and like alternate realities and stuff like that. I do think that they all just
Merge.
exist.
Yeah, that's so
Time
cool.
isn't linear, and I love
It's all,
that.
it's all multiverse. Like Marvel, like, got us
Fuck
ready for
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly.
Like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen, I know you
Which
guys
he
are
also wrote.
he did.
Yeah.
I know you guys brought up the gripe about the, the what the mother did, but did the father ever get the burritos? He was so excited to get the burritos for the family, and we never saw them eat the burritos.
Yeah, "What burrito did you get, Dad?"
So one
Yeah.
thing I want to bring up that I mentioned, I think I
Oh, that's
mentioned it,
so
felt like a long time ago. Uh,
yeah.
so obviously, when I heard what the story was about, I was like, okay, I have an idea where this is going to go. I didn't know exactly where. I thought it reminds me a lot of the story of Lake Mungo, which I know at least Seth and Gigi didn't enjoy or thought it was okay, mid at best.
Mhm, yeah.
Make me
And
like it, Brian. Make me like it.
so
Yeah.
myself and Mike Flanagan disagree. So he loves it. He like it was his inspiration for Hill House. So anyway, so in Lake Mungo, there's the mum, father, brother, daughter, and we learn the daughter's died,
Mhm.
and like the brothers, like the filming the ghosts, and then it's like, okay, actually he was faking the whole thing. There's no ghost,
Yeah.
and then we learn more about the daughter, about how like she was like seeing her own future, and she thought she was going to die, and she was acting out with the neighbors, like she did the threesome with the neighbors and
Mhm.
all these other things, and like nobody would seem to be listening to her. Uh, and then so eventually we find out like the parents at the very end of the movie, parents are like, okay, it was just all a prank. She's not a ghost. They move
Right.
away, and we get the very final scene where she's at the window being left again because they haven't noticed that she is still there. Like, as she has all through her life been ignored, even in death, she's still getting ignored, and her parents have moved away. She's now stuck there forever by herself. Obviously, new people will move in, but they're not going to be looking for her. So to me, that's heartbreaking because at least in Present, it seemed like the ghost leaves the building and it's like, okay, he's done what he wanted to do. Whereas that girl is stuck there forever. Like just nothing, just a ghost. And all she was just a little teenage girl that wanted to be noticed by her parents. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
sucks to be you because now they're away, they're
Yeah.
away
Sucks
living their
to
life.
suck.
I never
Yeah.
noticed that. Like, that's a good point. I never, because I just watched the movie and I was like, eh.
To be fair,
Yeah.
when I first watched it, like it was all over Reddit, and I was looking for found footage stuff, and it's like, this, what's the scariest one you've ever seen? And people are like, this Lake Mungo is terrifying, it fucked me up. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get scared here. And I
Yeah.
watched it, and I was like, okay, there's one jump scare, and I was like, but
Yeah.
I was like, that wasn't scary. What the fuck? And then I went away and I was reading about it, and I was like, oh shit, it's more about like grief and like
Mhm.
not being seen by people. And I was like, oh shit, it's so much deeper than what I originally gave it. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but then I rewatched it and I was like, oh fuck, okay, this
Okay,
made
to
me
be
cry.
fair, I didn't even really, like, gather all that from the
Me
first time
either.
I watched it, so I gotta it's been years since I watched it, and I actually remember when I watched it, I was, like, doing a craft or something, so I was, like, halfway paying attention to it, so, I need to rewatch it with, like, that lens
Well, that's what
because
I hope because like people that if you like Presence, I think you'll appreciate Lake Mungo more, knowing that it's about like grief and loss, and it's not about a scary ghost movie. It's
yeah,
like a poor teenage girl that had a shitty life that's going to have a shitty death as well, I guess.
yeah.
Life after death, I suppose. So it's yeah, I would urge people to rewatch it as a point of grief and loss over a scary. There is a couple of scary moments in it, but
Yeah, yeah, there
Mhm.
definitely is, like, there's some eerie moments, but okay, wait, now I want to rewatch it.
It sorry, I know I'm
was
anti-phone on
wasn't
the
wasn't
pod,
listening.
but no, I heard everything you said, but that's also why I'm a Lake Mungo truther. Like I love that movie, and I because it makes sense to me. But I also that's a movie that raised so many questions for me that I researched and read Reddit feeds, and like I needed to understand it because everybody loved that movie. It's a fucking so like I learned about it and I appreciated it more over time. I was just reading Soderbergh and David Kep interviews, and we're all right. We're all right in our own little way, and
Of
they
course
leave
we
those.
are.
No, but I'm saying they leave those little
We're
things, and they're like,
geniuses.
the dead girls was the red herring. You know what I mean? Like that was supposed to throw
Oh,
you
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Um, it was intentionally the brother, the whole entire like everything that we said is 100% correct to how they intentionally made the movie. So like what like and that makes me happy because I didn't read shit about this until this
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
moment right now I read and I'm like, you know what, we're all fucking right. You know what I mean? Like in one little way or the other, I cannot find anything about the phone call because like I thought if I could find it, maybe we would put it out there. So I don't know what the
Yes.
intention of that was.
I feel like you're overthinking. Like it's like
I
all the
know,
stuff
but I
that's into
want to
that with the
know.
mum
Yeah.
is he
I
like the
want to
dad
know who's on
knows.
the phone. I
So
need to fucking
the
know.
dad's planning on. He's like, so what will happen as the husband if she goes to jail? Am I fucked? Right, like guilt by association, like you mentioned with the prank.
Right,
Mhm.
with the
So he's
prank,
like, he's
right?
like, he's like, so I'm gonna. What if we're legally separated? Well, I still, but I didn't know at the time he was worried about going to jail because I thought he'd done something, but it's
Yeah.
not. He was just covering his own ass. And
Yeah.
then that's when he starts crying at the end because he was like, "Fuck, I don't want to leave here, but
Right.
Mhm.
I might have to so that I don't have to go to jail and I can look after our 2 kids when she goes to jail for whatever
Yeah.
she's done."
Right.
Yeah.
So I think
The
that
f
was just the phone call was that.
That's very fair, and I think the fact that they give you the obvious things that you know that it's not that, because it would have been too obvious if it was the girls, the fade to black at the end and, her seeing him in real time in the mirror was, that was like the solidifying fact that he was able to save himself by saving his sister, which in turn saved the most narcissistic, selfish person on earth because it was at that very moment where she actually had a real fucking feeling about her
Mhm.
family. So in turn, like he saved everybody. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but the fact that like it was so blatantly put in front of you, but you didn't blatantly understand it, that got you all the way to the end that it hit, just is a testament to how fucking brilliant. Like I can't. It blows my mind that it's the slowest, boring thing that nothing ever happened. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
I have another
I
sort of
love you
question.
guys and I love your brains and I love the way that you, no, I'm serious. Like, I love the way that we have this thing together where we can dissect things and like we're all on the same like track. And like, that's why we do this. And we're on here and we love film because like this, people are going to talk about this fucking movie for 20 years. Like, cause I think it's that good.
Brian, before you ask your question, I
No,
want to bring it back real
so
quick. I have to ask this because we haven't brought it up yet, and I want to know because I thought Wes Mulholland Ryan was awesome. Did you
that
guys
was what
think?
my question was going to be.
Oh, okay.
Was it?
Uh,
What was it?
So that was
Oh,
it. So I was going to be like
oh,
when
sorry.
because I obviously there's the drug bit earlier on with Ryan, but he looks like he's going to try and drug. I forgot her
Chloe.
name again. Chloe.
Chloe. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, so it's like a date R word thing going on.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand why because he just slept with her. So I was like, why are you now drugging her?
Yeah, totally.
So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, that doesn't make sense.
it
And
does.
then even then, when he was successful with it, I didn't think it was going where he was because I never registered. Oh, you've murdered those 2 girls. I didn't.
Yeah, you're
I
a
still,
fucking
I
serial
still
killer.
thought they, I still thought they'd OD'd, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck!" It's not until he literally said, "I killed them." I did not put that together.
Me
Mate.
either.
Okay,
I think the indication of drugging the drink after he had already achieved what he wanted, he achieved something that he didn't want to achieve the way he wanted to achieve it. Because people that are capable of acts like that want complete total control.
Yeah.
And he continuously made her feel safe by saying, "You're in control. This is about you." But then he wanted to have full control. And the only way he could have that is by putting her out and
but
having his way with
he
her.
would have killed her then. I think
Oh
'cause
yeah, he
I
was
thought
going
he
to.
was going to assault her. I didn't think he was
Yeah,
going to
that's
murder her.
fair.
So, 'cause,
That's
like
Yeah.
fair.
Yes.
the whole time I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to watch like
No, same.
this,
Yeah.
especially not teenagers." And then I was like, "Oh." Like
Dude,
I was like, "Oh, he's just a killer." Okay, that's
Oh, he's just
yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
kill her.
Ah, he's just gonna fucking kill
I
her.
was
Yeah.
screaming at the screen. I was like, "Fucking do something, Ghosty! Do
Yeah.
something!"
Yeah, because I still
Yes.
didn't know it was a brother, and I was like, "It's because they mentioned the window," and I was like, "Is he gonna? The ghost literally gonna like throw him out the window with its
Ye-
power?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Do it!" And then I was
Dude,
like, oh.
Yeah, right.
I was like, "Why are you
Absolutely.
running away?"
that saran wrap shit, terrifying.
Listen,
No, that was
that
freaky.
that saran wrap scene, and I hate to always refer back to this movie, but that saran wrap scene was as spine chilling and upsetting to me as Beautiful Friend.
Yeah, no, that
Like
was like
that was some
scary.
creepy ass shit.
Yeah,
Like
It makes me
little bit
think
of
of
breath, no breath, little bit of breath. I was like, this
Yeah.
is fuck.
like things like Clovehitch Killer, which I don't think are horror movies, but the way they
I
do
love
them are fucking
Clovehitch.
terrifying.
So
Whereas I've like
creepy.
that bit is like, and because it was clearly over her mouth and nose in real life because you could see it
Yes.
yeah.
sucking in, and I was like, fair play
Yeah.
to because I would be panicking, even knowing
No.
there's a film crew around me, but no, I'm not losing my breath
I think
for a
about that
fucking scene.
all the time. Like when there are scenes that are like that, like this is so random, but there's a scene like that in the Peter Pan movie. And I'm like,
And there is.
Yes,
Mhm.
where I'm like, how did you film that? Like, literally, how did you film that? Because it's over your mouth and your nose, like,
Mhm.
There's a
so, like,
film called,
wrapped.
I think it's called Dream Home, and it's like does the same thing. Like it's right across our face,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think even the nose breaks, and it's like
Oh,
how
Oh.
did you do that without
yes.
like
Like,
literally breaking
actually
the nose?
suffocating, yeah.
So I think it's that movie. There is definitely a movie where it goes across his face and somebody's nose breaks, but uh, Dream Home it goes across and then he uses a vacuum to suck it, so it's like right
Yeah,
away, and it's like oh my god,
dude. Yeah, no, I would have literally had a panic attack. I quit.
Also, I
pay
think the
pay me
movie's
more
like
money.
fucked up, like in dark. Like it get like it's this. You feel like you're watching like a Casper friendly ghost, and then like in the last 20 minutes of this movie, it becomes one of the darkest, most fucked up things ever.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's crazy.
I loved
So
it.
yeah.
And even sitting here, like, I'm almost, like, at a loss for words all over again because it's so much information to digest, and it's so fucking well done.
so what does everybody rate it then? What was everybody's letterbox ranking? And I'll start with you, Chuck.
I gave it 5 stars,
Brian.
and I hold to that.
I gave it 4 and then said Lake Mungo, but make it artsy.
I love that.
Okay,
I love
that's
Gene.
really fair. I gave it a 4, but honestly, after our conversation, I might give it a 4.5 because really my biggest gripe was how much that they hung on to the whole conversation and the stuff with the mom. And it,
Mhm.
it just didn't feel as played out and thought through as everything else did. Like maybe if David Cope and Steven Soderbergh tell us, like, oh, this is what it meant, then I could get behind it. But I still think it's like a 4, 4.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I thought it was fucking
That's
magnificent.
fair.
I
I
I
get that.
cried. I cried.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. Like I think I told you guys this, but A24 is a ghost story. This is like what I thought that was gonna be. And I
Yeah.
thought this just did it so much better.
Yeah, no, 1,000%, I think so too.
So is there anything
Yeah.
else anybody wants to add here?
And even though it's derived off of other ideas like Lake Mungo, Ghost Story, things like it has like a similar thing, it is very much one of the most original ghost things I've ever
Oh,
seen.
Yeah.
yes.
Like
Yes.
there's no waste. Like I know you guys would like watch every scene, but like it was so well written that like I never felt bored.
Mhm.
But I don't
No.
understand how people felt bored with it. Like
Yeah,
it was just
yeah,
a really engaging movie, even if it wasn't
Yes.
yeah,
scary. I was like, okay, all of this is like with family drama, but like I'm interested. I'm like, well, why is she deleting emails? She having an affair, and
right.
I was
Yes.
like all these little nuggets of information. So it's like, while I
That
don't
is
think it's a 5, just because I was hoping for something scary. So Neon, that's your marketing
Yeah.
department, but
right,
Yes.
it's a 4
Fair.
because it's a really really good movie. It's
right.
just I was wanting a wee scare.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
it's good.
fair.
I think it's so cool to be like a fly on the wall and experience through like
Yes.
you feel like you're the ghost and you're like experiencing this family's dynamics, like their trauma, the grief, all of that. And it's just such a cool way to look at something like that that like I've never really experienced before.
This is
And
what I
I,
Right.
wanted from In a Violent Nature. I wanted the camera on the killer
Yes.
all the
yeah.
time,
All the
and that
time.
would have been a 5 out of 5.
I thought about that too.
Same. I thought the
And
same thing. I was like, "This is what I thought we were gonna get."
yep,
Mhm.
and in that interview I just read, it's on, excuse me, on Variety with David Kep. He said that's exactly what they were going for. We wanted you to feel like a fly on the wall. And he said that they trimmed the movie because it was originally like an hour and 38 minutes. And they kept trimming and trimming and trimming and trimming because they didn't ever want it to be like a gimmick. And I didn't
Mhm.
feel like it ever felt like
No.
a gimmick. Like I was always
No.
in
I
this.
wish they would have had it longer, to be honest.
Same.
No,
Yeah, I was,
I thank them for making an 80-minute horror movie.
yeah,
Please,
I thought it was
pay
perfect.
attention. Everybody
Yeah,
do that.
No,
I thought
literally.
I thought it was perfect time. I thought the fade to black and the ambiguity to the end of it, like I thought it was just all perfect.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great, and again, I think my absolute favorite thing of it was just how uh, their use of exuding certain emotions, eliciting certain emotions with literally just their camera angles, where it
Mhm.
was like when we had these wide shots, they felt so lonely, like this ghost,
Yes,
like watching this and like not being able to participate. And then, like, when he would like walk up, when we would get like the rare close shots where it was like, oh, you can tell he wants to get closer. You can tell he wants to look
right.
at Chloe crying, or like he wants
Ooh.
to reach out, but he can't. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just like, "Oh my god." Yeah, wow. Beautiful.
Beautiful. And
Loved.
listen, if you're listening to this episode, hit our comment section. Let us know if there's something that you saw that maybe we missed. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, I should say, on presents. Gigi, as always, please take us home.
Yes, we are on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Please go like, comment, share everything. We also have a Ko-fi if you ever want to donate monetarily. We will just put that right back into the pod. But again, just sharing and rating and all those things really help us put us out there and boost us on the algorithm. Comment, Stitch. We want to know if you ever have any ideas of movies that you want us to cover, maybe if they aren't new, but you want us to go over them and review them. We are open to that too. We are open to everything. And we love you guys. And I don't think I'm missing anything.
Stay hunting.
Stay haunting. Bye.